Ready? Good evening, everybody. Good evening. It's great to see a full house. It's a great night tonight. Adequate notice of this meeting, as required by the Open Public Meetings Act, was provided through the posting, mailing, and filing of the annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings of the Town Council on December 17, 2024. The notice was, on that date, posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, provided to the Westfield Leader and the Star Ledger, and filed with the clerk of the town of Westfield. Ms. Lawshie, may I have a roll call?
Mayor Brindle?
Here.
Council members Hapkin?
Here.
Dardia?
Here.
Domagala?
Here.
Kiefer?
Here.
Saunders?
Here.
Armento?
Here.
Contract? Here. Healy?
Here.
Please rise for the invocation given by Councilman Healy and remain standing for the salute to the flag.
Thank you. We gather tonight to make decisions for the community. May we use our best skills and judgments and collegiality, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral. And with those thoughts, we proceed. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have so much good news tonight, but we're going to start with the best news of all, and that is welcoming the Westfield High School boys ice hockey team. First time state champions. And come on up, boys. We're thrilled to have you.
Congrats. Congrats. Congratulations.
All right. Okay, you guys are going to have to indulge me a little bit because I have to say I've never been so personally excited about a championship. I love all of our teams, but I have to say I jumped out of my chair when I saw this win. And Coach Bartucci and the team, big congrats. But you have to indulge me because I want to connect the dots for you a little bit between what happens on this dais here and why you guys are all standing here at this moment. And I have to see, how many seniors are on here? You guys, okay. Where's John McDevitt? Okay, early 2018, John comes to see me. I was a brand newly elected mayor. Who'd you come with, John? Was it just you? Yeah, it's just you. And he gave me this, said, what do you think about putting a temporary ice rink in Westfield? And I said, oh my God, why? That sounds great. That's no problem. Why couldn't we do that? Naively, I say. So with John's assistance and Jim indulging my crazy ideas, we started looking at sites, talking to Ken Anderson, and I found out that it wasn't easy. It was really hard. And it was hard because there were lots of people who were resistant. There were council members that were resistant. There were neighbors that were resistant, and members of the community for a variety of reasons. But our community and your teams, and I want to say those that preceded you, flooded this council chambers with hockey jerseys. I mean, big time. And a lot of the seniors on that team, and I remember when it was a club team, I think it was a sports team then, but a lot of the seniors, and I'll never forget this, came up and spoke. And they said, while they were not going to be the beneficiary of a rink because they were graduating, they wanted to see it happen for those that came after them. And very importantly, there were a bunch of little girls that spoke. And they talked about how girls got lost priority for ice time. And they really wanted to play hockey like their older brothers did. And so, in spite of all those objections, we proudly got that Westfield rink at Gumper Park later that season. And I have to say, many of you guys might never have known anything other than being skating in the rink. And it's just such a pleasure to see the fruition of the efforts and sometimes opposition to result into actually an experience that you guys are going to remember the rest of your lives. So I have a favor to ask of all of you, especially you seniors, about paying it forward. I do worry that the Westfield rink is temporary, as it said. You never know when the operator might retire. You never know when a future council may not renew the lease. So we are working on a project in Tamacos Park, as you guys may know, and hopefully identified a place where a permanent ice rink could go. So I'm going to ask you and your parents to fill out the Tamacos survey. Tell them you want an ice rink there. We'd love to replicate a public-private partnership like what we've experienced in Gumpert, so that you can be sure that future kids that come up behind you are going to get the same certainty of ice time that brought you guys here tonight. And I fully expect to see a girls' championship ice hockey team up here in the very near future. So I want to congratulate all of you guys. I want to thank John McDevitt for the crazy idea, where's Jim Gilday for really indulging it, and quite frankly, for the parents in the community that came out and really, it was because of your support that gave us the courage to move this forward, overcoming some of the objections we heard, and here we are tonight. So with that, I'm going to read a proclamation. I have a copy for each of you. I'll just give it to the coach and let you pass it. So, with that, whereas on March 10th, 2025, the Westfield High School boys ice hockey team won the NJSIAA Public State Championship, the first title in program history. And whereas, on the way to winning the state championship, the team won the Union County title in the McGinnis Cup. And whereas, under the leadership of head coach Joe Pertucci and assistant coaches Brendan Hickey and Spencer Truesdale, the Blue Devil ice hockey team demonstrated exceptional dedication, skill, and sportsmanship throughout their season. And whereas all of the members of the team, seniors Aiden Along, Jackson Chicola, Jack Conrad, Brody Essler, Jack Gargiulo, Austin Halloran, Daniel McDevitt, Luca McLaren, Joshua Singer, and Aiden Wilson, juniors Nicholas Benson, Tyler Bergman, Troy Conover, Luke Fitzgerald, Andrew Lisnock, and Blake Wadanowski, sophomores Ryan Druskowski, Liam Duffy, Robert Petrarca, William Reed, and Christopher Smock are deserving of recognition for their individual efforts and accomplishments that brought great pride to their school and their hometown. And whereas the team's historic victory not only highlights the athletic talents of these student athletes, but also serves as an inspiration to future generations in our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Shelley Brindle, on behalf of the Town Council, do hereby congratulate the 24-25 Westfield High School Blue Devils boys ice hockey team on a successful season, culminating in their first ever, first of many I might say, NJSIAA public state title, and commend them for their hard work, perseverance, and exemplary representation of the town of Westfield. Congratulations, all of you guys.
I just want to congratulate these boys. They put a lot into the season. It's a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice that goes into years and years and years of build-up. And this program has been so close to winning the state champion in the last few years. I'm just so proud that this group was the group that was able to get it done. As good of a hockey team as they are, they're even better kids, and I promise you that. And that's what playing a sport at Westfield is all about. We want to thank you for your support. And like I said, when you walked in, a lot of these kids learned to play hockey, learned to skate at that Westfield rink, so that's a major part of our community. So we thank you for all your support tonight, and this is truly an honor to be here, so thank you.
We need everyone to move way in. Can you move it a little more? Thank you, Charlotte.
That was fun. All right. You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Congrats. All right.
One of the nicest things that we get to do is be involved in these state championship, escorts in the town, parades and so forth. So Coach Bertucci was saying that was just the coolest thing he's ever been involved in. So again, a cool tradition we've been doing in Westfield. We have a lot of state championship teams across the board, which is nice. Mayor, we have a budget presentation, but I do want to make an announcement as a result of the executive session that was just held in the 7 p.m. Meeting. There was a resolution added to the agenda, which is a resolution authorizing the Special Affordable Housing Council to enter into a agreement, if appropriate, tomorrow at the assigned session and hearing for our fourth round affordable housing compliance. So that is on the agenda tonight under the Code Review and Town Property Committee. And if it gets adopted, obviously that'll give the council authority tomorrow to enter into an agreement if there is one to be entered into. So that's an adjustment tonight on the agenda. Everything else is the same as it was.
Great. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it for now. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll hear lots from you later.
Yes,
exactly. So with that, I just have a bit of a preamble before the big budget presentation. So I'm going to hand over some of this to Linda, but just to remind everybody that we are being filmed live on YouTube, and there's always a replay, and I hope people will take the time to review the budget presentation that we'll be presenting tonight. And it's all good news, which is terrific. We are introducing our 2025 annual municipal operating capital budgets, and we do have very exciting news to share. But before I hand it over to Finance Chair Linda Hapgood to go into it, and she will give you all the highlights. On a separate matter, I do, a week or so ago, I reached out, I made a social media post. I have been hearing from a lot of residents who have been impacted directly or indirectly from a lot of the executive orders and decisions that are being made at the federal level. So I did want to share some of these stories because I think it's important for our residents to understand that our community is not immune to these decisions, and we have many of our neighbors who are afraid for their health, their livelihood, and/or their civil liberties. And so I have shared the following with our federal legislators, and I urge anyone with concerns to share them with Senators Andy Kim and Cory Booker, and in particular with Republican Congressman Tom Kean. And here, just bear with me, I'm just gonna read and quote some of the comments I've heard from people. I am one of the 21 federal technology staffers from the U.S. Digital Service that resigned en masse after refusing to use our technical expertise to allow Musk and Doge to dismantle critical public services. And I want to reiterate, these are all from Westfield residents. I'm a former senior Google engineer, and I worked alongside an elite group of technologists who are working to modernize Social Security, veteran services, tax filing, healthcare, disaster relief, student aid, and other critical services. The team I worked with were brilliant and dedicated public servants who left high-profile tech careers to serve a higher calling of making government more accessible and responsive to its citizens. From another resident, our family has lived in Westfield since 2018 after repatriating following 20 years abroad. My husband is a green card holder, and our 3 children hold 3 passports. It feels a little doomsday to think about it, but we have considered and will keep considering leaving the country if things get worse. My husband is also Muslim, and unfortunately the administration has made their thoughts on scapegoating religions and immigrants very clear. We are lucky that we have something to fall back on, another country, if we are come to that. But when you speak to our senators and Representative Kane, please tell them that a lawful green card holder who pays nearly $300,000 annually in state and federal taxes considering leaving the country. Thirdly, another resident. I have a severely disabled 33-year-old son who resides at a medical educational facility. My son's care and many disabled persons are very dependent on Medicaid. 50% of New Jersey Medicaid comes from the federal government, and cuts will compromise the care needed by my son and this population. I also heard from a highly regarded attorney who, along with his peers, some of whom are also Westfield residents, were recently dismissed summarily when DOJ wiped out the Office of Civil Rights at the Department of Education. Their role at the DOE was to advocate for children with disabilities to ensure they have equal access to a public education. I also recently met with an executive from a global nonprofit organization that focuses on health and individuals affected by poverty, disaster, or crisis. Her organization has lost its USAID funding, and as a result, she's in the process of laying off numerous employees and remains concerned about her own career prospects. I also met with a downtown Westfield business owner who lost a longtime trusted employee who fled to Canada over deportation concerns. I was then introduced to one of their longtime employees who's a Westfield resident with children in our public schools and remains afraid to come to work and is petrified for her children's safety. Both employees have been working and paying taxes in the country for years and have been in the process of applying for legal status. But also, the business owner expressed big concerns not only about their employees' welfare, but how the business is going to find enough staff in a tough labor market. I sat next to a local doctor at a dinner recently whose colleagues were fired at the FDA. They are responsible for overseeing approvals of health device implants. It goes without saying why she was concerned. And I'm not saying any of this or sharing this to be overtly political, but I really want to make sure that our community recognizes that we are not divorced from these decisions, and we have many neighbors in our community who are hurting. I said, please implore you to reach out to your representatives, in particular Congressman Kane. I ask our Republican colleagues in particular to advocate for our residents, and I plan on meeting with him personally to do so. But most importantly for everyone, please continue to engage with kindness and empathy towards all of our neighbors. You have no idea what stress they may be managing. So, on a brighter note, tonight we're introducing our 2025 annual municipal operating budgets. The last budget introduction for council persons Linda Hapgood, Mike Dardia, David Contract, and myself. It's only fitting that we're introducing our final budget with a 0% municipal tax increase for the third time in our 8-year tenure. The first time was in 2019, which was also the first 0% increase in town history. The second time was in '24, last year, and now again this evening. The average annual municipal tax increase over our tenure is only 1.1%, well below the 3.6% average rate of inflation over that same period. These low tax rates, coupled with healthy and at times historically high budget surpluses, have only been possible due to the consistent and steady leadership of Finance Committee Chair Linda Hapgood. Deserves a round of applause for that. Assisted by Vice Chair David Contract, and also the various members that have served on the committee over the past 8 years, including Councilman Damagala and Kiefer these past 2 years. So thank you all for that. And we look forward to sharing the budget details with you all tonight, as there's much to embrace and look forward to. And first, though, I'm thrilled to announce, in keeping with our promise to improve the maintenance of all town and school district fields, that tonight we'll be voting on a shared service agreement with the Board of Education for the town's Department of Public Works to maintain Roosevelt School Field. This is the first step in a long-term field maintenance plan between the town and the school district that will allow for the town to eventually take over the maintenance of all the Board of Ed fields, delivering better outcomes and financial efficiencies for our residents. And you may recall this was something we'd committed to even while we were in the process of the Edison fields, always knowing that this was going to be a next step. And so we're thrilled that tonight is the first big step in bringing it all to fruition. So I'm now going to ask Finance Chair Linda Hapgood. She's going to take you through some of the budget highlights before we hand it over to Jim and Heather for the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. It's always exciting to introduce the budget, for me, of course. As I joke, it's my Super Bowl. this whole budget season. And tonight, you'll get to see the presentation of the 2025 operating and capital budgets. In other words, what we're proposing to spend to run the town this year and to invest in the town this year. After several months of department meetings and lots of fun but hard work with the Finance Committee, which you heard tonight is Deputy Chair Councilman David Contract and Councilman Damagala, Councilman Kiefer, thank you all. I have to say that I think the town's going to be pretty excited about the budget that you'll see tonight. Town Administrator Jim Gilday and Deputy Town Administrator Heather Ray Ferrati are going to walk you through the details. We owe them and our CFO an enormous debt of gratitude for their commitment to and their vision for our town. And so I just wanted to take a moment to recognize all three of you for all the hard work that you do. The 0% tax rate increase is our exciting news of the evening. This is the second year in a row that we have offered a budget that keeps your municipal taxes flat. And this proposal translates into an average tax rate increase since I started in this role 8 years ago of only 1.1% average increase per annum. This effort to keep your municipal taxes as low as possible results partly from a consistently balanced approach to our surplus. Keep what you need for a rainy day, and then reinvest the remaining amounts to accomplish our budget goals, including enabling the execution of capital investments in safety, public engagement, and our residents' quality of life. How do you accomplish just a 1.1% increase over 8 years when annual inflation rate over that same period has been 3.6%? And in particular, how do you do this when you're consistently investing in infrastructure, our services, and our people? We did this by diversifying the municipality's revenue streams and thus enabling the town of Westfield to be less reliant on property tax revenue. The 2025 budget evidences this in spades. Back in 2017, our non-property tax revenues were $15.2 million, and today they're $22.8 million. That's $7.6 million, I did the math, or a 33% increase over that period, which translates further into 4.2% per year on average, while your tax levy has only increased by 1.1%. This year's new revenues in that category of other revenues include things like our first pilot payments from the Westfield Crossing project and rents from Maze. These other revenues mean that we tax you less based on this effort, and this trend to continue toward other revenue, I hope will continue. I'd like to highlight a few exciting examples of things that are included in our operating and our capital budget proposal. For starters, the budget includes dollars to hire a firm to create a design plan for the Mr. Goodlube site on the corner of South and Central Avenues. As many of you know, we recently closed on the purchase of this property after receiving a $660,000 grant towards the $890,000 purchase price. And we look forward to beautifying the site with landscaping, public art, more seating, wider sidewalks, better pedestrian safety, and potentially some traffic enhancements at that kind of difficult intersection. And on the Parks and Rec side generally, we also will continue investments in plans in Memorial Park, the Houlihan Sid Fay complex, and in Tamaulipas. And as you heard from the mayor earlier, please fill out your surveys. The budget also includes dollars to hire a firm to design the transformation of Quimby into a flexible festival street that will make open Quimby permanent. It will be beautifying it with trees and lighting and landscaping, all while giving us the ability to restore that to daily pedestrian traffic for local businesses. And so that we'll be able to close the street entirely only for special events. This closing of Quimby and creating a festival street has been a passion project of ours since a few of us were sworn in here almost 8 years ago. And now that we've had 5 years to successfully trial Open Quimby, it's time to memorialize it and improve this popular public space while addressing the parking concerns of the Quimby Street businesses. As the liaison to the Downtown Westfield Corporation, I can attest to the fact that this is an initiative that our businesses are also really looking forward to. Finally, the capital budget includes funding for the town to pave 7.9 more miles of roads in addition to the 3.1 that will be paved by the utility companies at their cost. This puts us on pace to pave every single town-owned road in the town of Westfield by the end of next year. This is an effort that began in 2018 and accelerated when we adopted the 2019 road paving ordinance. Thank you, Councilwoman Dawn Mackey. By the end of 2026, all of these efforts will total to more than 100 miles of paving, which is an incredible and truly unprecedented municipal achievement. And there's more. Wait till you see the presentation. Investments in parking technology, our fire department, our police department, our DPW, and a super exciting plan for the library. I see our library director here tonight, Alan. I'm glad you're here. While on the topic of strong record of fiscal stewardship, I also wanted to take a few minutes to address some of the commentary that's been circulating about One Westfield Place, and in particular, the financial health of Streetworks after the March 7th news of HPC's plan to file for bankruptcy. To clear up any confusion, HPC's bankruptcy is only related to their Canadian retail operations and does not impact their U.S. operations, Streetworks development, or any of our plans for One Westfield Place. When the Hudson's Bay Company, or HPC, closed on the purchase of Neiman Marcus and Barney's in December, the poorly performing Canadian retail operations were spun off into their own entity, which became part of this HPC restructuring. I know it's confusing because we often refer to the redevelopment party at One Westfield Place as HPC Streetworks, so it's not surprising that people had some confusion. But all the non-Canadian retail assets and streetwork developments became part of a new entity that sits under Saks Global, which is wholly independent from the Canadian entity of HPC, and as I mentioned, will not impact our Streetworks partnership. The acquisition and the restructuring efforts that HPC and the partner companies have undergone, however, has caused a pause in our ability to engage with our financial and legal professionals regarding the amendment that we approved last fall to One Westfield Place. The delays are very frustrating to all of us who are anxious to see the public benefits come to fruition, but I'm happy to report that our professionals are now in the process of re-engaging with Streetworks, and we anticipate the amended financial evaluation will be presented to the Finance Policy Committee in the coming weeks. This will be followed by a public presentation and a hearing shortly thereafter when the amended financial agreements will be introduced for adoption, all part of the amendment process, but just with a pause in the middle of it. We've all heard some recent uninformed suggestions that we're moving forward with One Westfield Place amendments without publicly addressing the necessary financial information, or that there's been a lack of transparency around the process, when in fact, there's been very clear steps, there's just been a delay. We've been waiting for the detailed financial model that reflects the amended plan, and believe me, I also wish it could be sooner, but we've been crystal clear with Streetworks that we cannot and would not proceed with the adoption of the amended redevelopment and financial amendment agreements without first having the Financial Policy Committee review the updated financial model, discussing it with our professionals, and sharing it with you. As a reminder, the updated One Westfield Place initial financials were previously reviewed and presented in October when we adopted the amended redevelopment plan to ensure that the scaled down project was financially viable and would deliver the public benefits that are critical to our support. We've simply been waiting for this detailed secondary review of the financial model before proceeding with the redevelopment agreement. The amendments offer strong benefits to the town, as I know you've heard us talk about, in the form of stronger financial protections while still delivering significant public benefits to the town of Westfield. The delays, as I mentioned, are really frustrating, and they lead to questions because people are wondering why it's taking so long. But we will take all of the necessary steps to make sure that the developer is holding up his end of the bargain, not only in the next couple of months, but all the way through the process. And so with that, I would like to hand over the mic to Jim Gilday and Heather Ray Ferrati to go into the details of the budget presentation. Thank you all.
You, council members can stay in here if you want. We're gonna face, you're gonna see our backs.
Yeah.
That's okay, so. Okay, thank you, Linda. Hello, everybody. I'm happy to see a bunch of department heads here, and I just want to say what we do here without the support of the mayor and council and the great work of the department heads and the staff would not be possible. We're very fortunate in Westfield. We have an excellent team of employees. Hard to come by municipal government these days, but I'll put our team up against any other town in the state. We have great people here, and we're very lucky to have that. So I'm going to just turn this over to Heather to do for some of the first few slides, some introductions and some other statistics to wrapping up 2024, and then after she's done, we'll pass it back, jump right into 2025's information.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. So I know Councilwoman Habgood already went over the budget team, but just to say it again, we have Jim Gilday right here as our town administrator. He's been with Westfield for over 30 years already. We have Scott Olson, who's been a CFO for, 27 years, and you've been here over 10 years already. Myself, I've been with Westfield 8 years already, and started in municipal government about 13 years ago. And then we have Councilwoman Linda Habgood, Councilman David Contract, Councilman Mike Domagala, and Councilman David Kiefer. And then we also have Suppley Clooney, who is at our auditing firm, as well as Roget McCarthy, who is our bond counsel. Some of our 2024 highlights, if you were here in January, this might be old news, but just to highlight a couple of things. Something very important, so we want to mention it first, is that we ended the year with a healthy surplus of $14 million. This is driven by excess tax collections as well as interest on our investments. And many of you probably have seen, we have a lot of road paving going on. So last year we had 16.7 miles of road paving that went on around town. We also did various drainage while doing those road paving programs. So we have new catch basins, we have new ADA ramps, and in some spaces, new parking lots. Then we have strong collections at 99.15% tax collection rate. And we also have continued reliable collections with parking, interest on investments, sewer fees, and delinquent taxes. And in public safety, we have invested in adding equipment with the police, fire, and public works departments. We also had restructuring in the DPW department as well as promotions. And then we've also increased the fire department staffing to the highest level in 17 years. And then to go into some of the other departments, the police. So to start off, they had over 36,000 administrative calls last year. And with that, he installed 10 additional LPR cameras for a total of 25 around town. And then the police department reduced the vehicle theft from 22 in 2023 to just 7 in 2024, hoping to beat that again in 2025. No pressure. And excitingly, we were awarded the re-accreditation by the New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police. And then with the fire department, they responded to over 2,000 calls and performed over 2,000 inspections. With that, they are now at a 40-member staff, which they now have 9 persons per platoon. With the Public Works Department, we have the Conservation Center that everybody loves. We sold over 2,000 permits there. We have the bulk waste program with over 1,100 people that use that. And then some of the fun statistics on recycling. So everybody's always surprised at how many tons of styrofoam we always have. We have 12 tons of styrofoam that we got rid of last year. Scrap metal, over 127 tons. Cardboard, 144 tons. And reusable bags, 3 tons. The building department, they had almost 10,000 inspections last year, which is about 38 per day. And then they had 2.7 thousand permits issued, which is about 11 processed per day. And then we have the health department. The health department is a regional health department, so we have 9 towns. And with that, they had over almost 1,500 restaurant inspections. They also had environmental inspections of over 1,000. And then they host a multitude of programs. They have things for seniors, they have things for drugs and alcohol prevention, and they have the Healthy Bones programs. And lastly, we have the library. They had over 306,000 books that were, and items that were rented last year. And they had almost 100,000 visits. Hopefully we'll make it to 100,000 this year, right? Okay, and then they added the new digital newspaper service, Press Reader, and in the first 6 months they had over 137,000 downloads already. So with that, that's just some of the departments within the town, some of the fun statistics for 2024, and now we're going to move into 2025.
Thank you, Heather. Again, as you can see, some interesting statistics and some really productive 2024. Jumping right to 2025, as why we're here tonight, for the 2025 budget introduction. So again, reminder, this governing body here is responsible for the municipal portion of your tax bill. We have no control over the school board portion, the county portion, and technically even the library portion. They're all obviously separately decided. So we are obviously involved in our budget. So last year in 2024, the tax collector's office collected over $192 million, and you can see obviously where it goes. Again, we're responsible for the $31 million in taxes and change that that we collect. Of course, the town collects all the taxes, and then we disseminate it to the various organizations: school, county, library, and the town. Just on the other side of that screen, it's important to kind of give context on how that $31 million works. So our tax levy is $31.3 for 2024. In 2025, so you see here the tax supported piece with $31.3 million is what makes up more than half of the 59% of the budget. The rest of the budget is supported by other revenues. Councilwoman Havigood mentioned before, things like construction permits, parking permits, court revenue, other permits, franchise fees, state aid, delinquent taxes. This is the 2024 look. So just wrapping up 24, but gives you a sense of what we're responsible for, what the town council controls, and kind of where it comes from. So again, last year was a 0% tax increase, as we have again this year. So 2025 budget process timeline, we go through this every year just to kind of go through this quickly. We look at long-term capital investments, a 6-year plan. We focus on a 3-year plan, actually, that's very realistic to get achieved. We look at departmental budgets starting late last year. As Councilwoman Havigood mentioned, all the departments come in, meet with the Finance Committee, talk about their staffing, talk about needs and desires for the current calendar year. We then also meet with our auditors, our bond counsel, find out how we finished up the previous year, what the surplus generation was, revenue picture. We then go through the process we're in now. January 30th, we had our budget meeting, wrapping up 24, looking ahead to 25, and then we have all this other information we've been working on the past number of weeks, which then culminates into tonight. So tonight's the introduction. It's actually called the approval and introduction. The approval is really meaning that the budget's approved to become a public document and gets scheduled for a public hearing, which is scheduled for April 22nd. April 22nd will be the public hearing on the budget, and then the council has the ability to adopt the budget that night. And so that's the budget process, and it made it sound very simple, but it took many, many weeks and many, many meetings, and Saturday morning meetings to boot, right? So, okay, so let's look at some priorities for 2025 that are included in this budget. We call it the 5 Ps. We have public safety, parks and recreation, paving and drainage, personnel and services, and public services. So public safety. So a couple things that are included in this year, and this is a combination of things either in the operating budget and or the capital budget. We kind of just put them in the same place here. So you see a great picture of one of our firefighters in active duty here. First item on that list is replacement SCBAs. Self-contained breathing apparatus. These are life-saving issues and equipment for the fire department. We are at a point now, the chief has explained to the committee that we are in need of replacement of all the units in the department, which is the bottles and the masks and so forth. So part of what you see on this firefighter here gets replaced. That's really a safety issue for the personnel. Not a small number, but that's in the capital budget this year as an expense. We will again look at getting additional traffic and safety equipment, things like speed boxes, light towers, flashing stop signs, things that go on that get decided in the Public Safety Committee that we actually can implement in the current calendar year. We did apply for a grant and we received it to have the first fully EV police car. Thank you, Chief Badalore, for agreeing to this, and a charger that goes along with it. It's a reimbursable grant, so we must budget the money for it. We will spend the money and then reimburse ourselves, so that's in the capital budget as well this year. One other thing about the fire department is important, and this, the last bullet point there, national ISO rating. So ISO rating is something every community gets. It's an insurance rating, and basically what happens is they look at your fire department. We're very lucky. We're one of 11 communities out of 21 in the county that have a paid fire department. That means we have great protection for our buildings and property in town. That also means that due to staffing levels in the department, due to equipment, due to manpower, and due to American Water and their efforts on their system, we then can increase our insurance rating. Well, right now, was just announced in March that we are now a level 2 rating, the second highest level rating you can have countrywide, and we are only one of approximately, Chief, maybe 2,000 departments in the entire country that are a level 2. So it's our first time in town history, and what that means for taxpayers, over time you will see for the next 10 years, or 8 years I guess, right Chief? You will see your insurance ratings be slightly reduced because of our increased rating for the fire department. So it's a positive thing, not something that gets really talked about a lot, but it is very positive. I want to thank Chief Dilks and his department for really doing a great job and applying for that as we do every 10 years. So that's a big deal, and you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks as well. Parks and Recreation, a couple other priorities and things that are involved in either capital and or budget this year. Continued enhancement of maintenance of all our parks and fields and public spaces. We are working on, as the Mayor mentioned, conceptual designs, the first step in that process for Tamaqua Park. The survey is out now. That will be followed by stakeholder meetings. It will be followed by conceptual designs, followed by public input, and then ultimately, hopefully, coming up with a plan to actually phase in a plan at Tamaqua Park to do a lot of work there that's been long overdue. Houlihan Sid Fay Fields, we've been talking this for quite a while. We are working on the last steps of getting some plans and specs together. We got the bid. That'll be part of another capital project coming up later this year to expand the parking lot sizably over there, get people off the street. That's a county road, and so we want to get people into a parking lot, not on the street, and also put in a multi-use building, restrooms, maybe meeting rooms, storage facilities there. So that's in the process as well. Continuing Memorial Playground improvements. Some of you have seen the picture there on the screen is the new Memorial Playground. Just opened up about a month ago. That was last year's capital, but we've actually opened up this year. And there's some other things that improvements that went along with that playground. And we'll, of course, DPW restructuring. We talked about this before. Henry mentioned this. We have our Public Works Director here, Craig Gibson. This is a big deal last year. We added employees. We restructured our staff. We promoted people to positions that didn't exist. And now we've set up our department not only to provide better service to the town as a whole, but to take on things like the Board of Education field maintenance plan we're doing tonight. By the way, we are doing the resolution tonight. The council will be doing that tonight, approving the shared service agreement. The Board of Education is doing the same resolution tonight at their meeting. We have a shared partnership with them, and they're as excited as we are to begin this partnership, so that's important for the public to know. And of course, it goes without saying, we continue our tree planting program. We're very fortunate in Public Works have our own forestry division, and so we've had some new promotions in that department, and we will continue with tree planting, tree maintenance, pruning, takedowns, replantings, etc. Another very busy year coming up. Paving and drainage. It's been going on quite a bit in the past number of years. So this year, as mentioned before, we will pave 11 miles of road. We will do about 7.9 miles with money we're putting into our capital budget. The utilities, their numbers are slowly coming down because we're doing a lot of infrastructure work in town, and it's not starting to ramp down, so 3.1 miles is expected from them this year. I think with all those projects comes the normal ADA compliance, ADA ramps and so forth. We've added other stormwater resiliency projects, repairing pipes and so forth for the stormwater system, putting in new drainage where need be when we do paving. We're also looking to finalize our last sanitary sewer pumping station. Not very glamorous, but very, very important. And we're excited to get that done. Public Works is excited, so that takes a lot of maintenance responsibility off their plate going forward. And also Public Works, due to the restructuring, we initiated, through Craig Gibson, our Public Works Director, a new stormwater catch basin crew, which has actually been working in the past few months. It's something we had not been very proactive about. We are now proactive there. I can't tell you how many complaints we get or requests we get through See Click Fix or Westfield Connect. People saying my storm sewer is clogged or something. You can do that on your own, but of course, if you don't have the equipment or have the ability to bring it to the center, we do that. So we're out now being proactive about that, and we will continue to do that until every single storm sewer gets addressed. So some really good things under paving and drainage infrastructure things. On that topic, just to remind everybody about this paving thing, it cannot be minimized. And I've been with the town of Westfield now for 24 years as a town administrator. I go to meetings all the time with other town administrators around the state. This is unprecedented. To have 100 miles, basically every town road in our town be paved in a matter of a 9-year period. Basically almost half and half. 55.8 miles scheduled to be paved by the town through 2026 and 52.8 through 2018, obviously, 2018 through 2025 by the utilities. Almost half of the entire roadway is paid by other entities at their expense. If we had to bear those costs on our own, this process would take another 10, 15 years and a lot more money out of taxpayers' pockets. So this is very significant, saving the taxpayers estimated cost of about $21 million in capital costs in the past 8 or 9 years. So it's important that we continue to harp on this because it's a big deal. And one last thing, we don't have any information yet on 2026 from utilities. They may have other roads to do. If they do, that will reduce our obligation in 26 and increase their obligation. So that's subject to change, and we work with them every single year multiple times. Personnel and services, just a couple things here, some pictures of our forestry crew there, doing the work. So again, we mentioned before, investing in personnel, automation, equipment to enhance residential services. We talked about See Click Fix, Westfield Connect, past number of years. We had some presentation on that last year. Last year, we actually had a huge increase in salary and wages in the town. We explained that, again, restructuring, new hires, fire department, public works department, police department. This year, obviously our increase in salary and wages is lower, 2.6% increase. Last year was 6.3. Very manageable this year. We still plan on replacing the retirements that are happening, particularly in police and fire, adding some more people to public works, maybe another promotion in public works as well. Continuing to look at all of our departments that we have, looking for adjustments or added staff where necessary to provide the services. And most importantly, we have 5, or actually I should say 6 collective bargaining agreements. And all of them are settled right now, which is something a lot of towns can't say. It's important. We have 2 contracts coming up for negotiation at the end of the year. That's the FMBA and the CWA, but everyone else is under contract beyond 2026. So that's a big deal. That provides certainty in our budgeting for this year particularly, and certainty in future years. So again, a lot of action has been taken, a lot of support from this town council and past town councils as well. Public services, a couple things here. Westfield Memorial Library, was mentioned before. Director's here, Alan McGinley's here tonight. In the capital budget, we've included money for the library this year to basically enhance their own investments in their facility by having some continued interior renovations and looking for a makerspace. This picture you see on the screen is a concept of the makerspace that was presented to the finance committee and the town council. This is something the library is looking to do, and some of our capital money this year is dedicated to creating that space at the library, which is exciting, not just for the library, but for the community at large, which is exciting. Health department, Heather mentioned this before. Reminder, every year the finance committee meets with the Board of Health. It's a very large department. We are a regional Board of Health. We are the lead agency for 9 communities, including Westfield. That's no small thing. Megan Avalone, who's our director, does an amazing job. Her staff does an amazing job. And we serve Westfield, Madison, Garwood, Mountainside, Summit, Chatham, Fanwood, New Providence, and Roselle Park. Not all contiguous to us, but towns seek us out because of our services and what we provide. And from a revenue perspective, basically we are offsetting more than 60% of our costs by payments coming from other towns. So the cost of our own services are actually reduced from what they would be if we were on our own. That's a big deal. We've looked at that multiple times, and that's only increasing as we continue to change our programs and policies going forward to provide the services we provide, which are top-notch, sought-after services. So again, thanks to Megan and her team. Parking system upgrades continue. We budgeted some money last year. We'll be rolling out this year a new online wait list system online daily permit system and an online permit renewal system for residential, employee, and commuter permits. So that'll be rolling out over the next number of months. And lastly, tax collector's office. Again, meeting with the departments, the finance committee asked questions about how we can do things better, more efficiently, automation. Henry, our tax collector, has been here a number of years, great young man. He's actually always looking for new things technology-wise. I know it may seem very simple, but the auditors don't like when you have credit card machines in the offices, but we are going to have a new credit card machine in the office this year, so people come in to pay taxes if they're not prepared that, to pay with something, they assume they can pay with a credit card. We will have that option now. In addition to that, we've been asked over the years to create an automatic withdrawal, if you chose to, for your quarterly taxes. That is an option now as well. Some residents have really liked that, so that's a very good thing. And thank you, Henry, for always looking to get more technologically savvy. So one of the other line items that we have in our budget is called a capital improvement fund. It's not a capital ordinance, it's a separate item. In the operating budget, the capital improvement fund is either really meant for two things. It's every year we put money in to put as a down payment on capital projects. But in addition to that, the council has the discretion on a yearly basis to increase or decrease that number and add special projects or smaller projects in that line item. So this year, as I mentioned before, we have 2 professional consultant costs in there, one for Quimby Street Design Plan, which we're looking to go out and hire someone to come in and design that new street, to go out to bid at some point to actually do a project next year if we can. Also for a stormwater system condition assessment, looking to see what we can find out about our system from a condition perspective, what the value of the system may be, and get that done as well. There's also funding in there for demolition of 2 properties. If you remember last year, we purchased the house next to Firehouse number 2. We plan on demolishing that house this year as the beginning of the process. As we've talked about many times before, that is the home of our new headquarters in the future, and we'll be actually sharing some plans very soon about what we're going to be doing with that property and how we're going to renovate that going forward. And then also the newly funded, the picture that's behind this picture is our newly acquired property only a matter of weeks ago, the corner of South and Central, the old Mr. Goodloop property. We've already tried to make some very minor improvements on it, some cleaning and some minor painting, some flower boxes, but ultimately that building you see in the picture, the white building, will be knocked down. We will then hire a firm to come in and design that property into a pedestrian friendly plaza, as Councilman Hadley mentioned before, public art, greenery, sidewalks, and so forth. And then lastly, there's money in there, of course, for public facility improvements such as Town Hall, Public Works Facility, and down payments on capital projects. So again, a very robust thing in the operating budget. That will be one-time expenses, and next year the council can decide what they want to do with that budget, up or down. 2 other capital projects that are not budgeted for yet, but are in the queue for this year. The lovely picture of our existing gas fuel system at Public Works. It's in dire need of replacement, and we are in the process of doing that. So one of the projects will come up to the council in a matter of weeks or months. Will be an ordinance to award a contract to replace the aging fuel system at Public Works. Reminder of what this serves. This is the lifeblood, literally, of what we do in this town. Board of Health, Public Works, Police, Fire, Board of Education. Everyone uses our fueling system. In addition to the rescue squad. And we have a shared service with the township family, borough family. And other towns have sought our services, but when we replace the system, we will actually be able to even maybe offer other shared services as well to recoup some costs. But we're excited about this. This is a safety issue, also a organizational issue in the department to make sure we have better use for our space. So that's something we'll be seeing. And then second of all, we have the Houlihan Civ Bay project we talked about before, parking lot expansion and restroom multi-use facility. We're working on final details and estimates. We're talking to some of the leagues that use that space. We're coming back to the council this year, hopefully with the capital budget to do that project as well. So those are in addition to the normal capital stuff we'll talk about in a minute. So just a quick, history lesson here. Again, I showed you some information. We shared this slide last year. Again, this has been mentioned multiple times tonight, but again, for municipal purposes, no tax increase this year. This is what the town council has control over. Historically, you see the light greenish line, the U.S. inflation rate since 2012. The dark blue line, the town's tax levy increase since 2012. And you see here that basically in 2025, The rate of inflation is 2.8%. We are at 0%. Last year was 2.9. We're at 0. And you kind of go back and forth. So we've had a very good run for a long time here, but really the 0% is really something that doesn't happen very often. So feel good about it when it happens, which is good. So but this is a very impressive thing. And again, as was mentioned, 1.1% tax increase over the years since 2018 is rather impressive. One other thing was mentioned before, a little more detail on the bones here, surplus. So this budget, if it goes through on April 22nd, we'll still have in the bank $7.2 million in surplus for use in 2026. And of course, there'll be some regeneration that will get added to that. Don't know how much, but we have a pretty good idea of we're gonna have a minimum amount generated, so we're gonna be in very good shape starting off 2026. You see here, 2025, we started off with 14 million and change. Last year, 2024, we started off for 15 million for. We're using 6.8 this year. Last year we used almost 6.8, 6.7. We're leaving 7.2 in the bank this year. We ended the balance last year 8.6. Don't know what's going to be generated. We generated 5.3 last year, a very good year. No tax increase either year. And of course the budget increase last year was 3.05. This year it's even lower. So we're trying to control our expenses where we can, even better than we have. So again, below the rate of inflation, budget increase, and again, healthy surplus, which is really what I care about as the administrator, making sure we're in good position for each successive year. A couple things, people always ask, how do you, what's the calculation? How do you arrive at the tax rate? Not the easiest thing in the world. We want to make a very simple math problem. Heather redid this slide for my horrible Canva and PowerPoint skills, but this is more of a math problem. So we take our total expenditures, so our total budget is 54 million and change this year. We then subtract the revenues that we generate from that we can actually depend upon this year, and the difference of those two equals the tax levy, what we need from the taxpayers to make our budget whole. As Linda said before, the more that 22 million goes up over the course of the years, the less tax levy we need. But right now in 2025, 54 million expenditures, 22.8, almost 23 coming from revenues we know we can depend upon ourselves, leaving 31.5 as the tax levy, which is only less than almost 3/4 of a point over last year's levy. And then we actually divide that by the total rateables of the town. All the value of the property in town is over $8 million, which was increased slightly over 2024, almost the same exact amount as our levies increasing, a little bit of rounding there. So when you do that math, it provides 0 tax increase for municipal purposes in 2025. So the average assessed home in 2025 is $826,700,000, which was up from the previous year, $829,000. And so again, no real math to do here, but we're not proposing an increase, and basically there's no increase in the tax portion. But again, the average assessed home continues to increase because rateables and property values increase, which is a good thing for all taxpayers and property owners. So again, that's a little bit of the thing. This presentation, by the way, will be online, so you can go back and you want to look at the math problem while you want, you can. Couple other things here. This is a lot of numbers. We have it on here because we want people to go back and look at it and study it if they want to. This is a quick 3-year look at our expenditures and revenues and the total tax increase over the course of 3 years. So we won't go through all the details, but suffice it to say, budget-wise, just something to focus on here. Budget-wise, 2023 budget went up 5.4%, 2024 3.05, 2025 1.74. So budget is well managed, expenditures well managed as best we can. Revenues, 5.46 increase in 23, 3.5 in 24, and of course, revenues revenue increase in 2023, 2.6, increase in 24, 1.5, increase in 25, just under $1 million. But again, it's a balanced budget, and of course, the tax rate in 23 was 1.98% for taxpayers, 0% the past 2 years. So again, we're trying to do what we can with the control we have over the municipal portion of the budget. Three more things here before we wrap up. Again, just a quick allocation from a graphical presentation about where our appropriations go. So as you might expect, the two big pieces are salary and wages, 38% at 30.5, and statutory required expenses. That's things like pension, health insurance, Railway Valley Sewage Authority, lots of things we don't have a lot of choice on. Almost 36 or almost 36.5%. Other items that are just in here, we mentioned before the capital improvement fund, $670,000, It's a small piece of the puzzle, but that's very discretionary for the council to increase or decrease in any given year. We mentioned the items we have in this year. Operating expenses are 12% of our budget. Actually, fairly well managed. That includes all police, fire, and public works, the three largest departments we have. That's all their operating expenses that they have for those and other department as well. Debt service, 3.5%, rather consistent over the years. And then the one other thing to mention here, I mentioned it slightly in the beginning, the reserve for uncollected taxes. Because the town is the collector of all the taxes, we, and only us, not the county, not the library, not the school, because we're the collector, we must budget the reserve. Because if we don't collect it, we still have to pay to everybody. First ones that get paid are the school and the county, and even if we don't collect it, we have to actually eat it. So the reserve is a number that's required. We have very little play in that every year. It does increase pretty much every year by the tax levy increase allowable, 2% or thereabouts. So that's a number that we have. So $2.7 million of budget is a required line item we can't change, and no other budget in the town has to bear that burden. So it's just an important fact. Lastly, completely separate from the operating budget, just to rekindle a recap on the capital budget. So tonight on the agenda, in addition to the operating budget, we have the capital budget ordinance on first reading tonight. And basically, capital budget is for projects or items that are over $5,000 and a useful life of at least 5 years. Most of our items you'll see if you read the ordinance. We try to get the longest useful life we can to elongate the payment period if we can for debt service. Things that are included this year, we mentioned before, the largest part of our capital budget every year, this year more so than ever, $3,145,000 for paving and infrastructure. That's paving, drainage improvements, sewers, ADA compliance, etc. We have library, we mentioned before, that's enhanced improvements inside the library with the makerspace, $450,000 being allocated there. Public safety, $885,000. A big chunk of that is the replacement SCBA's for the fire department, which are needed. That's good news about that. It's a one-time expense. Next year, that will not be back in the capital budget, so that number should drop down. Public Works Department, again, continued replacement of vehicles. This year's number includes 2 mason dumps replacements and a pickup truck. And then lastly, other items are just minor things, facility maintenance that goes to our town hall, public works facility, roofs, furniture, renovations in the buildings, and then also Parks and Fields. Parks and Fields is a smaller number in the ordinance tonight, $50,000, but we did discuss before, Houlihan Sidfed Field Project is also a separate capital ordinance that we're going to actually have. So Recreation has actually a big number this year, just in a separate document. So a little just information about the details of the capital budget tonight. So that's a very quick overview. There's lots of detail in the capital budget. There's lots of detail in the operating budget. And again, the council here, the finance committee particularly, thank you, Mike and Dave and Linda and David. The staff here, myself, Heather and Scott, we basically live with these people in January, February, Saturdays and nights, 2 or 3 nights a week, but it is worth it. And the nicest thing is, and they can tell you themselves, they get to know the people that are running this town. Besides myself and Scott and Heather, they see all the time, they meet the department heads, the chiefs and Craig and other department heads, and hear from them, not just about the numbers. The numbers are important, and of course that's what we focus on, but it's the people that make things go. It's the people that make this town what it is. And so, again, they get to meet people, get to question them, talk to them, learn about them, and that's a big deal because it doesn't happen like that everywhere. And again, as I said in the beginning, we're very, very fortunate that people we have here, and that's kind of why Westfield's successful, not just with the members of the governing body, but the staff that runs the town on a daily basis. So thank you very much for letting me present, and that's it.
Thank you all. Very nice. Well done, absolutely. Okay, so moving on to the agenda for this evening. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the Town Council Executive Session held January 14th, January 28th, February 25th, March 11th, and Town Council Conference and regular meetings held March 11th, 2025. Second by David, motion by David Contract. Second? Second by Councilman Damagala. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? This motion is carried. Now it's time for open discussion by citizens. Anyone may come up to the microphone and speak to the council on any subject on which the council's jurisdiction. Please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes. And I just want to remind everybody too, the public hearing on the budget will be April 22nd? April 22nd, so there'll be a full public hearing and questions on specifically on the budget when it's time for adoption. But any comments? Public comments? Okay, hearing none, I close this portion of the meeting and move to bills and claims. Councilman Hapgood.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move bills and claims in the amount of $982,157.48.
May I have a second? Second by Councilman Contract. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? This motion is carried. Next on the agenda is reports of standing committees, beginning with the Finance Policy Committee. Councilman Hapgood.
Thank you again, Mayor. I have 9 resolutions tonight, 5 of which I'd like to move as a package. The first, a resolution authorizing the CFO to refund Recreation Department fees. The second, a resolution authorizing the CFO to refund street opening cash bond. The third, a resolution to extend contract for the Westfield Memorial Pool concessionaire. Fourth, a resolution authorizing affordability assistance grant program pursuant to the Town of Westfield's Affordability Assistance Program for a tenant of an affordable housing unit. And 5, a resolution authorizing acceptance of the revised budget introduction and adoption dates as issued by the local finance board.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Dardia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? This motion is carried.
Next, I'd like to move a resolution to adopt a temporary capital budget.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Domagala. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Hapgood,
Yes.
Dardia,
Yes.
Domagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Mayor Bindle.
Yes, this motion is carried.
I'd also like to move a resolution to introduce and approve the 2025 municipal budget.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Contract. Any discussion?
I'd like to say something quick.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks. So as everyone had mentioned, I've been on the Finance Committee now for 2 years and seen 2 budgets, and I just wanted to offer a couple observations. You know, this putting a budget together is a lot more than just numbers on a spreadsheet. In fact, that's kind of like the backseat part of what goes on. Because you're allocating finite resources and you have to do so in detail, it really percolates to the surface everyone's values. The people in the council, the professionals, the judgments that are made. And what was really interesting is that we talk quite a bit and we disagree a fair amount. And the disagreements aren't always what you think they might be about, and they're not always between the people who you think they might be between. And they very rarely fall according to party lines. So just a little tidbit out there for the general public: don't judge a book by its cover. We all have opinions and values that go well beyond party lines, because when you deal with things like environmental stewardship, public safety, drainage, all these things, people have pretty strong opinions, and it's pretty interesting to watch. I would say the one thing we do have in common, and that goes for everyone here in the front row, we really do care about the town, and we really try to strike the balance between investing for the future and being frugal with everyone's money, and I think we hit that. So very proud of the budget. So thanks, everyone.
Great, and thank you for your work.
Yeah, and I would just add, I would echo what the councilman just said and just say the public should realize really how lucky we are for our town to have the department heads, to have our town administrator, assistant administrator, and CFO. They really guide the process. You know, we work closely to question every line item in every budget to make sure your tax dollars are spent wisely. And I do think this year's budget, like our previous 7, is really something we should all be proud of. You know, it's not easy to hold the line on tax increases, maintain surplus, and provide services. But I do think we collectively, you know, working together with the town and the department heads, has done a really good job doing that. So hopefully future councils will continue this, but I think it's something that we can all be proud of, and residents should as well, to recognize the hard work that our chairperson has put in, probably more than the rest of us, but collectively to deliver a budget like this. So great job, Linda, and to Mike and Dave and to everybody else.
Thank you. Okay, so please call the roll.
Councilmembers Hapgood,
Yes.
Dardia,
Yes.
Domagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Mayor Bindle.
Yes, the motion is carried.
Next, I'd like to move a resolution to introduce and approve the 2025 Special Improvement District budget, the budget for the Downtown Westfield Corporation.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Saunders. Any discussion?
Mayor?
Yeah.
I don't want to have the DWC not feeling any of the love. It's just important to mention that the DWC has a appointed board, and they have spent the time like we have to go through and do their budget process as well. Tonight, again, for I think maybe 10 plus years, their assessment is holding flat. So no SID budget increase in their proposed budget tonight. And we had the chairman of the DWC at the previous meeting about they're asking for an event adjustment for future events. But the DWC does a really phenomenal job. Samantha Horning, the director, the staff there, and the board, it really does a nice job holding the line there very well, and yet providing great events, great services, and great support to the businesses downtown. So thank you.
And not to speak for Councilman Hapgood, but I also aware of the work that they've done over the last year or so with the strategic plan. I don't know if you want to elaborate on it, but it's pretty impressive between what they've done, so.
Exactly, a great board. Samantha's really doing a great job. The chair of the board, Jeff Kirschenbaum, was here earlier tonight talking about new plans for downtown entertainment over the summer. So the idea is to expand Sweet Sounds from not just being Tuesday, but actually having Thursday night music downtown all summer too. So if anybody has any good ideas about what we should call that, we're taking suggestions.
It's going to be great. Thank you for that. Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Hapgood,
Yes.
Dardia,
Yes.
Domagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Mayor Brindle.
Yes, this motion is carried.
Last, I'd like to make a motion authorizing the CFO to make a budget transfer.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Domagala. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Hapgood,
Yes.
Dardia,
Yes.
Domagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yep.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Mayor Brindle.
Yes, this motion is carried.
Okay, now we go on to the ordinances. I'd like to move General Ordinance Number 2025-06 on first reading, an ordinance for calendar year 2025 to establish a cap bank under NJSA 40A:40-45.14.
May I have a second? Second by Councilman Contract. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Hapgood,
Yes.
Dardia,
Yes.
Domagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Mayor Brindle.
Yes, this motion is carried.
And finally, I'd like to move Special Ordinance Number 2025-01 on first reading, bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal systems equipment, and new automotive and electric vehicles, including original apparatus and equipment, in, by, and for the town of Westfield and the county of Union, state of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $5,065,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Dardia. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmembers Hapgood,
Yes.
Dardia,
Yes.
Domagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Mayor Brindle.
Yes, this motion is carried. Councilman Dardia, please move Public Safety, Transportation, and Parking Committee resolutions.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two resolutions I would like to move as a package. Number one, resolution authorizing payment to Flock Safety for LPR cameras for the Westfield Police Department. Two, resolution authorizing an award of contract for the purchase of pedestrian beacons for the Westfield Police Department.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Armento. Any discussion? This motion is carried. Councilman Contract, please move Code Review and Town Property Committee resolutions.
We all have to say yes.
Oh, did I'm missing that. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Sorry. Well, it wasn't on the script. Okay, Councilman Conjo, thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome. I didn't want us to have to come back and
Thank
redo
you.
it. I would like to move a resolution authorizing Affordable Housing Council to sign a settlement agreement for the fourth round affordable housing compliance.
May I have a second? Second. And my Councilman Damagala. Any discussion?
Yes. I have had the good fortune to be designated as the chairperson of our affordable housing approach. The state of New Jersey passed a law in 2024 permitting towns to submit to a process that will guarantee, if they participate, that they will not be subject to builder's remedy lawsuits. And that's really important because if you're subject to builder's remedy lawsuits, a builder can buy up 3 houses and that turns into 25 townhomes or a big apartment complex. 85% of the New Jersey towns agreed to participate in this ultimately binding process where you will submit plans and see if they get approved by the courts to see if they're meeting their obligation to have some level of multifamily and affordable housing. So we are now at the first stage where we submitted in response to the Department of Community Affairs numbers, we took we asked for a slight modification for that number. They said we had an obligation to produce 397 units. This is a very confusing number, but that's not the number we're ultimately going to have to put up. I want to point out something. You know, when I got on the council, which is only last year, I got to see what the town administration had done with respect to this obligation. And going back almost 10 years, the town under Republican administration and then the Democratic administration of Mayor Brindle got a plan together that was approved for our what's called Phase 3 affordable housing obligations. So now we go into this new round, round 4, where we have 0 present need, 0. And I didn't count them up, but I'll bet you that's about 5% of the municipalities in New Jersey that have 0 present need because of the job that was done. And believe me, I've now worked with the planning staff, that's the town administrator, our own planning official, we have a contract planning official, we have an attorney. This is a terrific team that's put together and put us in great shape. By March 31st, which is a couple days from now, we have to resolve this difference that we have with the Department of Community Affairs number. The Builders Association has rejected our approach and said it needs to be a little more than Westfield is saying. That's going to be resolved tomorrow. I don't think the Builders Association has any merit to what they're saying. By the way, the Builders Association is in a panic. Why are they in a panic? Because 85% of the municipalities in New Jersey have just eliminated the builder's remedy. We are going to be able to preserve our long-term single-family zones by having our affordable housing and multifamily housing along the railroad corridor and in the town area. So we're going to have a true transit village. Westfield has always been a transit village, and we're going to enhance that through this program. What we're doing by this resolution, and I'm sorry for taking a long time, but this process is really important. I mean, that budget process is really important. I agree with that. This is 10 years. This is 10 years of the future of Westfield in this process that we're involved in. I don't think there's anything as important as that in terms of the town's future. We are authorizing our attorney to settle a dispute of a minor number that essentially has no significance in terms of what our ultimate number is. But we need to do it so our attorney can, we need to have this resolution so our attorney has the authority to bind us in a hearing tomorrow that will just resolve this initial proceeding that needs to be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Okay, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Hapgood,
Yes.
Dardian,
Yes.
Domagala,
Yes.
Kiefer,
Yes.
Saunders,
Yes.
Armento,
Yes.
Contract,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Mayor Brindle.
Yes, this motion is carried. Councilman Healy, please move Public Works resolutions.
You're calling on me again?
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's your night.
I want to move a resolution to enter into a shared service agreement with the Board of Education for maintenance of the Roosevelt Intermediate School athletic field.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Armento. Any discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
I just want to say publicly, thank you to the schools. You know, for decades, the school and town staff have worked very well together. This is another example of that. And I want to just reiterate, they're doing a very similar resolution tonight at their governing body meeting. And just further proof of the collaboration we have with our local school district, not only the governing body to governing body, but staff to staff, and that can't be undersold, because it doesn't happen many places, so thank you, and thanks to the schools.
Yeah, and no, thank you for that. And that is true. And I say we have an incredibly collaborative relationship with the school district in all areas. And so this is, I do think, solidifies that. So it's really great. All in favor?
Oh,
yeah.
any discussion?
I said any discussion already. Keep going.
No, Jimmy took the...
Oh, got it. It's all yours. The floor is yours.
All right, there's a little history to this. As you know, the block upon which Roosevelt Intermediate School sits is a large block, and half of that property is owned by the Board of Education, and the other half is owned by the town of Westfield. About 20 years ago, the Westfield Y said, we would like to fund a track, like a walking path, running path, all the way around the block. And the Board of Education welcomed that with open arms. There's this long-time antipathy of the people in the neighborhood who think that Clark Park is somehow a passive park. That's been litigated, it's false. That park can be used for anything that the town decides. But at the time, the momentum wasn't there to build the track all the way around the block. That was kind of an example of non-cooperation, if we'll say. So I'm happy to move this resolution to move the cooperation level forward, given the history of Clark Park and the Roosevelt Intermediate School.
Excellent. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? This motion is carried. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Armento, second.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Dardia. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? This motion is carried. This